Hello and welcome. My name's Beck and you're watching Beck's Crafty Nook. It's finally time for another pattern review. In this series I bring new and exciting, sometimes underrated, patterns that I've scoured the internet for. And I like to know the details about a pattern before I buy it so that I can make an informed decision on whether I'm going to be able to complete the pattern and if it's worth my buying or not. So in these reviews, I'm here to buy the pattern first, let you know all the details, and you can decide if you want to get the pattern or not. In today's episode, we are reviewing the Ribcage Riot skeleton vest, and I made mine just in time for the work Halloween dress-up day. The pattern is available on Etsy and Ravelry, and the designer's name is Jessica Brewer. Her handle is Making Things Knotty if you would like to tag her or find her shop on Etsy. But as always, the links will be in the description so you can get your copy. Before we keep going, let's take a little look at the review gallery. As always, it's always such fun to get inspired by everybody else's creations. So let's talk about how I found this pattern. I was actually revisiting a pattern that I'd already bought, and I started this other pattern when I started back crochet in November. So that pattern is called the Cloud Rider Vest. So I was looking in TikTok for the Cloud Rider Vest, and then this TikTok came up and I noticed, and I'm pretty sure the designer had made a Cloud Rider vest. So if I can find those photos, I'm going to pop them up there for you. And then I was like really intrigued because this did look simple enough to make. So the Cloud Rider vest was quite complicated, and when I made it, the measurements didn't fit. I was making a child's one, and then I also found that there was no photos where I needed a photo. But I would like to revisit that, but in the meantime I thought I should try one of these, and I thought if Jessica can make a Cloud Rider vest, then I can make one of these. Don't ask me how that works, but that was what I was thinking. So let's start talking about the pattern. First up, and you know this is something that I often complain about a lack of in some of the patterns, there is a tester gallery. Excuse me. Alright, so here it is, and it's quite big too. I'm going to put all the images up on the screen so that you can see them a little bit closer. So we've got 6 here. And the thing about this pattern is it's so customizable. So I love that in the tester gallery you can see all the different ones. So we've got one that's a box fit, one that is the same fit as me but it has some shoulder details. The next one is the same but it looks different on a different person. The next one is the same, and we're going to get into this later, but this particular tester came up with a new idea, and then the pattern designer decided to put it in with the pattern on how to do that, and that's quite unique. That doesn't happen all the time. The next person has the long sleeves, which is like chains, and it looks very glamorous. And then our next one has put some fringing on hers. And as you can see in the gallery, there is a very different range of sizes of people and even males and females. So in our next tester gallery, we have another 8. Now, the one down the very bottom is a rainbow one, and I was definitely inspired by that particular one to use this yarn. And then you'll also see that the fit of the tops are different, and you'll see why. Yeah, so we've got lots of different fits. We've got one that has put like, she's put her own sleeves on. I don't think this is in the pattern, but I love that the designer has shown everybody's creativity, because this pattern is obviously written with creativity in mind. So while I was making this pattern and seeing other people's creations, I noticed something very cool about the pattern designer. Some of her pattern testers made suggestions for different things, such as the corset lace up on the sides, and the pattern designer included this in the pattern. And I thought that was really cool, because some pattern designers, they can get annoyed or offended when people make adjustments or suggestions during the testing process. But honestly, isn't this why we do pattern tests? And this means that the pattern has so many ways that you can customize the top for the purposes of aesthetics and fit. And when I first looked at the pattern, I thought it was very simple, almost so simple that you could figure it out without the pattern. But I was wrong. I would describe it as simple but not obvious. Once you make one, you have an explosion of ideas on how you can use all of the elements given to you and customize it. This pattern is listed as advanced, and it's for the same reason. It's so customizable. Okay, so let's talk about the actual pattern, the nitty-gritties of what you get, what's the layout, how it all works, because it's kind of like a little system and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to start out by reading Jessica's intro on the pattern, because it neatly describes everything that this pattern is all about. She says, the Ribcage Riot top is a customizable design with several options to please your spooky soul. How cute. Choose to keep it a tank top, which I did, or add shoulder caps, free flowing fringe sleeves, or the cuff sleeves. This is an advanced level pattern. It's written in US terms, it's made to fit, and as a result of that, it does not include the exact stitch count. So we'll go into that in a sec. Many parts of this top can be executed in different ways to fit your taste. So feel free to experiment with different yarns, textures, hook sizes, mods, and fits to express your unique style. Check out the tester gallery on the pages that I showed you for some inspiration, and head to page 29 for a discount off the skillix sleeves by the Creatrix in the Matrix. So I'm going to show you that page as well. I'm going to pop it up on screen. So there's another designer that made like a shrug, and it goes perfectly with this design. So I'll add some links in the description of some TikToks where Jessica shows that she's made one too, and the links to the other designer. Alright, next up you get your usual materials, supplies, hook size, and your abbreviations. Now there's one stitch in there, and she has provided a tutorial, which is for a link double crochet. It just makes these like a little tighter together. I couldn't really figure it out. It's not that hard, but I decided that I just didn't need to. So mine are just normal double crochets. But if you use the link double crochet, it makes it just like a little less see-through. So that's that. Now, there's two measurements that you can do. I won't show you where they are because it will give away the pattern. So I'm going to be careful while I'm talking about the pattern, because it is simple, and once you know a little bits and pieces, you might be able to figure it out. So there's two measurements that you can take, A or B, and there's a picture with a body and it tells you where to take the measurements. So I took the smaller measurement because I want a fitted style, but it does suggest if you have a big bust to do the bigger size, but then I found it too boxy. So mine has ended up like a little bit short, but I still think it looks really cool because I did the smaller measurement. The boxy style at the start that we saw with the gentleman in grey was that's the boxy style. So you need to take that measurement because you don't have a stitch count, and you're going to make your own stitch count based on that measurement. But it was very simple, and you don't need to have like a measuring tape. You could just use a piece of string and like tie it and, you know, whatever. Next, you do need to check your gauge, which is going to say what stitch you're going to use here. And I went and did the gauge with my hook and my yarn, and I ended up with using this stitch. And then she's got all the options, like pictures of all the different options, which is really cool. I think I could put that picture here. So then you start making the front panel and you go from the top down. It tells you you're going from the top down. And there's enough pictures to figure out what you're doing. As I said, these will be the measurement that you took on your body. So you just chain until you get to your measurement, and that's how many chains. And then it tells you, I like the way that the rows are numbered. So it does say, yes, it does say row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it also says either a rib spacer, which is this row, or a rib. So it's kind of like it's a lot of writing, so you might feel a little confused. But then if you go, I'm up to spacer 3, well, that's 1, 2, 3. I'm here, and the next one will be a rib. So that makes it quite easy to figure out. I like the way that that's worded. As I said, there is enough photos, and so you go all the way down and you make the front. And then you make the back, and there's a full photo of the back. Once you've got your how many stitches and you start making, then you're good to go. So I think with mine, the next time when I customize it, I might just I think I would put 3 stitches here because for some reason it's pulling a little bit. And I also might make these chains, or even like add another row of these, even though you're only supposed to have, I think you have 11 because it's like supposed to be not like a rib cage. But I think for fit wise, like I really love all this fit, but then because of the boobies, it gets a bit funny there. So I think I might make just this particular one longer or an extra one of these. So this starts down here and then you get your ribs down here. But otherwise, like the fit is quite nice anyway. But I think that's the only adjustment that I would make. And I would suggest that when you decide your number, according to the measurement, write it down. So I actually wrote mine on my pattern. So it'll say, do this and chain X. And X is how many stitches you need to do, whatever. It tells you, and you can figure it out really easily. But I can't say too much. So write down what is X, okay? How many stitches your X is. And that way when you want to go back and customize a little bit more, you can. Or if you want to go make the exact same top because it worked out well, you can do that. So I would just, like I said, customize it on those last couple of rows. I would tweak it a little bit. So once you've made a back and a front panel, that's when you can join it in different ways. So you can join it with, so I just joined mine straight together there. But you know, for different fits, you could do those chains that were there. You can do a cap sleeve to join it. Similarly, down the bottom, I just joined mine here. But if I want to make it tighter, I could have joined it more. So you can customize it that way as well. You could add those full chain sleeves. You can do what the other designer did, where she put like crocheted back and forth to make an actual sleeve. There's so much that you can do to customize, but all those little bits and pieces come after the joining. Then we have a full tutorial on the corset sides. How cool is that? I just think that is the best, to incorporate that from the pattern tester. So yeah, I love it. And that would be good, you know, for someone like me where it only just joins and you want to adjust it a little bit. You can add ribbons, and it shows you how to do it with chains as well. So like I said, there was no actual tutorial for this designer that I was just talking about who did the full sleeve, but she has included like a cute little blurb to say, look what this person did and how creative was it, and you know, go be creative. Alright, then we've got that full tutorial on the linked double crochet, which I couldn't be bothered with, but it is simple. I don't know why I couldn't be bothered. I think for me it was like, it didn't seem to make that much of a difference. I feel like I'm faster doing just double crochet, and if I don't see the point in doing something, then I won't do it. But like I said, I think it's so that it makes it closer together and less see-through. After that, if you look at these couple of pictures, we've got one from the designer who made like mossy bits, and then we've got another picture that I got from TikTok. I will write the name of that designer in, who did like bloody bits. And I've also seen, which isn't in this pattern, but I've seen someone be creative on TikTok. Hopefully I got the photo for you. Crocheted on like a couple of single crochet back and forth, and like blood drips with the single crochet and like red tips. So there is a tutorial on how to do these distress bits that kind of hang off. It looks really cool in like the ivory color as blood bits or as the moss. And last but not least, we have a full tutorial on how to join these rib bits in. I think I did something different. So you join the rib bits. I went around the whole bottom with 2 rows of single crochet just to finish it all off. So yeah, you can make it however you want, but yeah. So there's a full tutorial on how to do this lower part. In the first written pattern, in the first part is just written pattern. All right, so for my final thoughts, I love this pattern. I think it's so much fun. I love all the creativity options. I can't wait to make more of them in all different designs. If you check out Jessica's TikTok, she's made all different ones as well. She's made like half and half. She's made it with a hood. She's made the shrug that goes with it. All of the things. Now, if you don't like crocheting into chains, maybe not for you. There's a lot of chaining and crocheting into a chain. I did fail to mention that before. But I've been practicing lately, and once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. It could be a project that you want to do if you're not very good at that and you want to practice. It actually didn't take very long either. I would say it's a 1-day project, like 8 hours or less. Maybe it was 4 hours. I can't remember. It doesn't actually take that long to make. So that was really cool too, because I've made it all the week before Halloween for my work party. I also customized this headband. I made the 2 flowers here, and after this review, stick around and I'm going to show you how I made the headband. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Stick around for the headband tutorial, and I'm going to see you next time for another pattern review. Alright, so I started with this $5 headband from Kmart, and we're just going to remove the coloured flowers and replace them with some crochet flowers that match my top. They are just adhered on with hot glue and this felt, and so yeah, I was able to rip the felt off with my fingers. Today we're using tutorials from this channel who makes lots of tutorials about different flowers. The first one we're going to make is this rose because it seemed to be an easier one. She's got a couple of different roses that you can make, but this is all in one piece. I did get confused at the end, but it still turned out great just doing my own thing. And as always, all the links will be in the description if you'd like to do the same. Here is the finished rose. I think it turned out great. I love all the colours, and I just sewed mine together. She hot glues hers, and I also couldn't be bothered to pull out the hot glue gun, so we're also going to sew it onto that felt backing. So here I've ripped the flowers off but kept that felt on. It was pretty easy. I just did it with my hands, with my bare hands. And then the flower just pops off. And we're going to pull the other one off as well. See how easy that is? Almost one-handed. I had to use 2 hands. Okay, so here it is all naked, and we're going to put our own flowers in. I decided to put it in amongst the black leaves because I think it fit better there, but I did try it on both sides. And this straight darning needle that I'm using has a sharp enough tip that I can get through there, so I just put it through a few stitches either side and it was on, and I think it looks super cute. Now we've got to make the other flower, and the other flower is going to be Carnation, which is slightly different. I did give it a little try on while we've got this one, and I was able to like ruffle the outside edges so you can see a bit more of all the different rainbow colors. This is the tutorial that I followed for the carnation, and I did add one more row of ruffles. There's just 3 double crochet into each stitch, so I did another layer of that, and then I finished off with the chain stitches. You'll see when you look at it. And this is what we turned out with. So it's a little bit bigger, a little more ruffly. I felt like just the amount that she did wasn't going to be big enough. And again, we're just going to take it and sew it onto the felt. I also sewed the carnation like really tight, so it was extra ruffly. And here we are. It's looking pretty awesome. I just tied those 2 extra strings together for extra stability. And we came out with a beautiful matching headband for our Ribcage Riot top. I'm so chuffed with how it came out. It was very cheap, only $5 for the headband, leftover yarn, and it completely matches.